Hey, everybody. And I want to welcome everybody because this episode is one of the first episodes, if not the first episode, that Brian and I have had in our fourth year. So this is starting our fifth year of actually doing the podcast, which is kind of incredible. And I think I speak for Brian and myself when I say I love this. I love that we can have these conversations. You guys interact with us, even on a very like a very small, meaningful level. It's all good. And any way you interact with us is great. We love you guys to, email us, get us on social media, talk to us in person because a lot of you know us. But we do have this podcast does reach quite far. And it was more than I personally ever thought it would do. And it's opening a lot of doors for Brian and I and the audience here because it's telling us that like we're not alone in these kind of assumptions. Like we want to talk about these things. We want to get this stuff going. So I'm going to come at you today. This is going to be I'm going to call it a solo episode, kind of a catch you up, catch us up, catch everybody up. Well, just me personally. And if you don't know by now, this is just Josh. And I'm not going to do I call it the rhythm and roll, but a lot of people call it a rigum and roll or rhythm and roll or whatever they call it. But I want to call it, I'm not doing that because I just want to spend more time with you guys. And I want to sustain kind of like the CC Virtues, which is a short, digestible episode that you can digest in the car on your way to work or at home or, hey, I'm waiting for this dinner to be done in 25 minutes. I want to listen to the episode of CC. And we get a lot of that. And I really appreciate everyone kind of validating our choice to do those kinds of episodes. And I know that we are pushing the boundaries a little bit and we're doing some longer form episodes now. But that's good because change is good. Adaptation is necessary, especially necessary to survive. And we as humans have done that for thousands of years already, right? And so we're not going to change that just with, 20-minute podcasts here and there. But I wanted to give everyone this opportunity to kind of, it might be a shorter episode, it might not. I don't know. I mean, I just love talking to you guys one-on-one and love hearing the feedback. So I'm thinking I'm going to just kind of give you guys like an update on my life situation because a lot of people have been asking. We're 6 months out now from, we're actually, believe it or not, we're actually a few weeks from 6 months, but we had a hurricane down here in Florida, and I live in Southwest Florida. And Mel and I, which is my wife, Mel, our house was pretty much destroyed from the hurricane. And I want to take this opportunity. I've thanked you guys before. I've thanked everyone before, but I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone again because your financial contributions at the beginning of the hurricane and right after it happened, even if it wasn't just to me directly and it was to, Red Cross or wherever you decided to give money to, it helped. And boy, did it help. Because here in the United States, like we don't have, those social structures in place really to help immediately after. Unless we put it in place. And so Brian, my dear friend Brian, which you all know as Brian, but he is my dear friend, really took the reins and he and his family, it wasn't just him. I know it wasn't just him. He and his family really, really helped Mel and I about, we got a GoFundMe going, we got this going, we got that going. Everything really worked well, and I loved it. And it helped me get through the initial trauma and the initial, like, I'm going to build this back. And so coming forward to kind of like the whole process. So we put, a claim with our insurance, and I got going back to work, and my wife and I were not living at the house because the house was uninhabitable. And so we are living with her parents. And we're like, you know what? We need to get this stuff done. So we did it all. We did the process. We hired an adjuster, and we got it done. And the adjuster settled. And we've got enough money to get back into our home. Now we just have to build the house back. So part of the reason I'm doing this episode now is because we actually have built some of it back. So we put in new hurricane impact windows, a new hurricane impact door, and we've done a lot of that stuff already, and we've done a lot of the legwork. So we've got the contractors ready, lined up, everything. We paid a lot of money out. I mean, I've wrote some of the biggest checks I've ever written in my life. So big, in fact, that like the little check blank, if you've ever written checks, because this is a thing now that people don't write checks, is that the little space to put the money is not like big enough. And so I've written, over into the extremes. But it's gotten a lot of good things too. And so that's one of the good things that we've written that. We did those things. We have now been going to Home Depot and Lowe's so many times, they kind of know us by name, and we just walk in there and they're like, oh, I get it. Like, you're looking at stuff for your house. I'm like, yes, we're rebuilding our home, from the ground up. It's almost like a new construction in a way because Mel and I have actually built a house before, but it's like a new construction in the way where we are choosing to do certain things. We're like, we're doing this now, and this now, and this now. Now, we have also chosen a few things that are with, because we don't live at the house right now. And I told Melanie, I said, let's just do this, like the kitchen, for example. The kitchen was not damaged except for the appliances that had to be all ripped out because they all molded up and got all furry, which is a gross description, but it's true about what happened. And I said, let's just redo the kitchen because we're here now. We're not living here. Let's just do it. So we're doing that. We're doing a lot of things to the house. So if you follow me personally on social media, I will be giving updates, and I'm going to start actually sending out some pictures of stuff as it gets done. So the update right now I want to give you guys is that we are still not living at the house. However, we got our all new windows and doors on Friday last week. And that was an eye-opening experience. But when it was done, it was like, oh, this is great. Like, this is better than it was. And that's the whole idea. I'm going to build back better. I'm going to make this home a fortress for anything that happens in the future. And that's my goal. So, like I said, I'm going to make this episode a little shorter. I think that the takeaway everyone can take is, how can you make your day-to-day life better with even small things? Because if you would have told me a year ago, oh, Josh, how can you make your day-to life better with small choices? I would have said, oh, no, I don't know that. But now I do. I know that, like, oh, if I do certain things on the fly, or if I just say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to clean up the outside, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get somebody here to give me a new roof, that kind of stuff, like, I could have totally done. And so I think, like, look at your own life, be a little introspective, and say, what can I do to make my day-to-day life better with small to little to no impact, I should say, to your day-to-day life? Because that's the most important thing, is what you're doing impactful for your self-preservation and your well-being? And I think this is something coming up in the next year of CC, especially now that we're on we're starting the 5th year. I think I'm going to start leaning in more to, how is this impactful to you on a daily basis? Not just, the one-time thing. Because we've talked a lot about stuff, and every bit of it is useful daily. But I think we're going to start becoming more and more, this is how it works. This is what you do. This is who you are. If this is the choices you're making, these are the things you're doing. So I really want people to think about that. Like, think about the little choices you make, and hearing my story, hearing other people's stories about, a disaster or whatever, and figure it out, because we are all in this together in one way or another. So figure out how this is going to be impactful for you in your daily life. And you know what? I would love an email from you, or a text, or a voicemail, or something about how that is. And Brian and I can bring some of you guys on, or we can actually talk about this on future episodes. So honestly, I just think that that's where I'm going to end this. I want you guys to think about how this is impactful for you and how it works for you in your everyday life. Until next time, this is Josh.